Cluster 1, Inferencing. This goes with The Lottery by Shirley Jackson. If you have your book, it's on page 25. If you don't have your book, you can Google this and the passage will easily pop up. It's a really famous short story. So make sure you've read it before you start this. So what you're doing is on your paper, you're creating this graphic organizer here. You do not have to copy these like grayed out boxes. Those are just for your reference and their examples. So you only have to title your columns text evidence plus background knowledge equals inference. Then you have the list of quotes here. Yes, you do need to copy the quotes. Yes, you can shorten the quotes if you need to. So if it isn't going to fit on your paper, that's fine. Just make sure you keep the gist of the quote in there so I remember what quote it was that you're talking about. I just need my own memory refreshed when I grade your paper. Okay, so you're going to have the quote in the left-hand column. In the middle, you're going to have your background knowledge. And in the right-hand column, you're going to have your inference. So when it comes to filling this out, you're going to look at the quote provided. And the example here is, used to be a saying about lottery in June, corn be heavy soon. It's from line 198. All right, so farming requires the right conditions to produce good crops. Okay, this isn't something from the passage. This is background knowledge. This is something I might know outside of this passage. So in the example, it said that in the quote, it says, used to be a saying about lottery in June, corn be heavy soon. So it sounds to me like they're doing some kind of crop, like they're trying to get a lot of corn in their crops. So we have over here, for my background knowledge, I know that farming requires like good conditions in order to get a good crop. Like you might be growing corn, but it's not going to go well if, there's a drought or something else going on. All right, so this is my own background knowledge based off of just a little bit in that textual evidence. So then for my inference, I'm going to combine that knowledge with the text evidence. So a village belief is that sacrificing the life of a community member may ensure a productive crop for the following year. So now to figure out what this means, I have to combine this with my farming knowledge. It says there used to be a saying about lottery in June, corn be heavy soon. All right, so it sounds like they think that if they do a lottery, they'll get a good crop. They'll get a lot of corn. All right, so that's my inference based off of my background knowledge that farming requires the right conditions to produce good crops. They think one of those conditions is that they have a lottery. They got to make a sacrifice and then they'll have a good crop. So you're doing the same thing with these quotes. Now, I'm not looking for any one particular inference. As long as you make an inference that makes sense and you're providing background knowledge that comes from you, not from the text. All right, so right here it has some places have already quit lotteries. If you tell me something about the lottery that happens in the text and the background knowledge, you're not going to get the points because that's not background knowledge, that's knowledge from the text. All right, so what you could say, it says some places have already quit lotteries. What do you already know about when people quit things? Like if you were taking guitar lessons and then you quit, why would you quit? For what reasons would you quit something? All right, so maybe you say people, for background knowledge, people usually quit things when, and you give an explanation. All right, and then you combine that knowledge with some places have already quit lotteries and say those places that quit lotteries must have quit because, and then combine it with your background knowledge. Why do people usually quit? Combine that with what you know about the lottery. Okay, why might they have stopped doing the lottery? Or you can take the word lotteries from this textual evidence. It says some places have already quit lotteries. Well, what do you personally know about lotteries now in the real world? Like, what do you know about lotteries? How many winners are there typically? If you won, would that be a good thing or a bad thing? Right? So knowing what you know about lotteries, when you look and it says some places have already quit lotteries, all right, you must already be able to tell something about the lotteries. If lotteries are typically good or people enjoy winning, why would they quit the lotteries? Well, I mean, do you think the prize is still good if they quit the lotteries, if they stopped doing them? Was the prize really that great? I don't know. Okay, so that's where you're coming up with an inference. For the third one, Mr. Graves opened up the slip of paper and there was a general sigh throughout the crowd as he held it up, and everyone could see that it was black. All right, so when he opened up the paper, and actually this is a typo. I just realized that. I have it corrected in class, but it's not actually black. It should be blank. If you look at the passage, it's blank. Okay? So Mr. Graves opened up the slip of paper and there was a general sigh through the crowd as he held it up, and everyone could see that it was blank. Okay, so he does not have a black dot in the center of his paper. So everyone was like getting all tense and worked up, and then he opens it up, they see that he doesn't have the black dot, and they all sigh in relief. Sigh. Okay, so why is it that people usually sigh? There's a couple different reasons, but let me tell you, this is not the kind of sigh like, you didn't clean your room? Ugh. It's not that kind of sigh. It's the kind of sigh like, ooh, I wonder what's gonna, oh no, what's gonna happen? Okay, it's that kind of sigh. All right, what kind of sigh is that? Why would someone sigh? Okay, so if you can say what you know about sighing and why people usually sigh, then over here you can make an inference. What feeling is usually associated with sighing? And if they had that particular feeling, what can you assume are their feelings towards Mr. Graves? Okay, maybe that's your inference. For the next one, the lottery was conducted, as were the square dances, the teenage club, the Halloween program, by Mr. Summers, who had time and energy to devote to civic activities. All right, so they're saying the lottery was conducted just like these other three things. Square dances, the teenage club, the Halloween program. All right, so what do square dances, the teenage club, and the Halloween program have in common? Okay, so if you were going to a square dance, the teenage club, or the Halloween program, what would you expect? What kind of activities are these? All right, so that could be your background knowledge. Like from your own knowledge, what kind of activities would you think that these would be? All right, and then for your inference, now knowing that's how you would feel about those activities, and knowing that it's probably then how the villagers feel about those activities, if they're lumping the lottery in with those kind of activities, how do they feel about the lottery? That could be your inference. And then over here, in this village, the lottery could begin at 10 o'clock in the morning and still be through in time to allow the villagers to get home for noon dinner. Okay, that last part. And it will still be through in time to allow the villagers to get home for noon dinner. All right, so when you get out of school, if you're looking forward to dinner, what kind of activity are you probably doing after school before dinner? And let me phrase this another way. If you had something really exciting happening after school, like you were really looking forward to it, are you thinking about dinner while you're at that activity? Maybe, maybe not. Like, give me an answer here. It's up to you. So in what situations are people who are, it's still morning time, it's still 10 o'clock. In what situations would you be looking forward to dinner? Okay, what must you think about what's occurring before dinner if you're thinking about dinner this far in advance? All right, so for your background knowledge, you can say in what situations people would look forward to dinner when the activity they're doing beforehand is what? How would you describe the kind of activity they're doing beforehand? If they're not even thinking about it, they're thinking about dinner. All right, and then knowing that, what inference can you draw about how they feel about the lottery, considering that they're looking forward to dinner? All right, so those are just possible ways you could do this. If you had your own different background knowledge that I didn't say, you're certainly more than welcome to put that in there and then draw an inference from that. I do not mind, as long as the background knowledge comes from you and your knowledge, and the inference is combining the text evidence and the background knowledge. All right, and lastly, so you have your 5 background knowledge, your 5 inferences. You need to rate yourself on the RL 1.1 scale. On the other corner, bottom corner of your page, you should have put my rating on RL 1.1, and beneath it, you rate yourself on the reading scale. So go back to the reading scales in your notebook, look at RL 1.1, read the descriptions for level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and figure out where you think you are based off of your work on this assignment. Are you a level 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? And then just put that number in the box. I will give you 1 point on this assignment just for rating yourself. All right, and then you should get the full 21 points.